Welcome back, everyone, to the Suit Yourself podcast, part of the Finish First Media team. My name is Austin, co-host number 1, joined tonight by fellow co-host number 2,
Brandon.
We'd like to welcome everyone back, to the Week 8 recap tonight.
It's an exciting week.
It's a very exciting week. We'll be coming back at you later this week with the Week 9 preview show, hopefully tomorrow. We did not do that last week, so hopefully we can get that done this week. Life's been a little busy.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. Brandon, do I dare ask how you're doing today? Because I know the answer.
Not good. Not good. But hopefully, this could be a way to make it better.
That's what we like to hear.
The viewers' day a little better as well.
We are recording this November 3rd, so today is Tuesday. At the 7:45 Central Standard Savings time here. I would like to ask Brandon, as for our question of the episode, at this point, are you expecting a Trump or Biden victory? Politics aside, who would you put money on right now to win?
Well, it depends what the lines are. But if I had to make a guess on who's going to win if it were an even line, I'd say Biden.
Okay. That's all we asked for. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That being said, we're going to jump straight into today's show. We're going to start things off going over injuries. We might do a little waiver talk, but since it's Tuesday, we're probably going to do more of add the waiver sprinkles in as we talk about the games. And then we're going to go ahead and recap what has happened in Week 8. So just jumping right into things, I'm going to pull up our injury report. Once again, I know nothing about medical anything.
Don't you have a personal training license?
So it expired. We're just reading things. I'm reading things. So this is not any form of advice in terms of injuries or my opinions here necessarily. So some of the new injuries we're going to start with, unfortunately, for my team, Calvin Ridley. He hurt his ankle and missed a large portion of the game on Sunday. Tests were all negative, so he may be able to return this week, which would be good. Will he be 100%? Who knows, but at least it's not looking like a long-term injury. Darrell Henderson, everybody's favorite, he took a shot to the thigh and was unable to continue. We're not sure if I believe they have a bye this week. And it looks like he has a bruise, so he will probably return after the bye. Does that excite you?
Well, somebody who's been rostering Malcolm Brown for far too long, it made me very excited. And then you mentioned that they had the bye this week, and it immediately.
And he's probably going to come back.
Yeah.
Another for my fantasy team, Kenny Galladay is our next victim, so to speak. He had another injury. He was finally healthy. He had a hip injury today. It looks like it's going to be a multi-week injury. I was hearing rumblings as well that since he was unhappy about his contract situation, that he was waiting to be 100% to come back and play. So that's something to keep in mind. It looks like you will not have him for a couple weeks. Shout out to my team.
Yeah, no,
he's already missing OBJ and
in my primary
Alvin
league,
Ridley
I have him and Chris Godwin, where it seems like every week it's something new. Like, oh, Chris Godwin hurt his hamstring. Oh, Chris Godwin got a concussion. Oh, he hurt his hamstring again. Oh, he broke his finger. It's like, okay, like, come on now.
Yeah, it has.
First 3 picks, McCaffrey, Godwin, and Galladay. That's been a tough few weeks.
Chubb, Sanders, and Cortland Sutton. Also
good.
Tough. Next, we have T.Y. Hilton. I don't know if anybody cares about T.Y. at this point, but he has a groin injury. I believe he's going to be out for at least a little while, so a couple weeks, it looks like. So not going to have him for a while. Tevin Coleman, he's yet out again with another injury. Looks like a knee injury.
Wait, again?
I believe so.
Oh, my goodness.
We're not sure how serious it is, but it looks like he may be out. It's recommended JaMychal Hasty and Raheem Mostert might get some work. I'm not sure if Raheem. I don't know if Raheem is 100% healthy.
I thought Raheem was on the IR. I mean, he could have just been taken off. But what about Jet? You think Jet's going to get that?
I think he's not. They're not trying to use him in that kind of role. Next, we have George Kittle. I believe he is essentially out for the remainder of the fantasy season, so you're probably going to be dropping him. I can't quite remember what it was that he was hurt with, but I just remember he is out. What I believe it was the rest of the season, or 6 to 8 weeks or something. He was out for a long time. So Garoppolo, he's also out. So not that you're starting him anyway. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else of consequence here. These are the injury updates. Freeman might be back this week. Devontae Freeman, we're not sure yet. Even if he is, I'd expect Wayne Gallman to be pretty heavily involved. But that offense is so bad that I'm not even sure if it matters. it looks like Deebo Samuel will not be playing this week. And then it looks like we're watching the health of Chris Carson. He might be playing. We're not entirely sure. If not, DJ Dallas is the guy that you want. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else we care about real quick here. It does not look like Kenyon Drake will play this week.
That hurts.
Austin Eckler, he actually made the list here. It says he is not close to returning. Nick Chubb does not appear close to returning.
Where do you tear that thing?
And then, well, he is finally eligible to come off IR, but looks like it's just not going to happen.
It's not good.
So hopefully he's getting pretty close. Same with Joe Mixon. He is expected to return in Week 10 for all you Joe Mixon owners out there, or Giovanni Bernard owners.
Ooh.
So get another week out of Gio. And then Christian McCaffrey is expected to return from his ankle sprain this week.
Time. Goodness sakes.
It looks
been
like,
a rough 6
and then it
weeks.
looks like Miles Sanders will be back in Week 10. I know this is really boring to listen to. I apologize. Apparently, we all knew this, but just reading the names, apparently 90% of all
every
fantasy
single
players
person's
are hurt. So Mark Ingram is also not close to returning. Raheem Mostert is out at least 2 more weeks. Andy Dalton was going to come back from his concussion, but he is on the COVID list. So
Yeah, it's not good.
some fun stuff there. And there we go. Look at that. That was just the offensive side of the ball. That was just the skill player side. Lord knows how many linemen and defensive players are on here. But so I apologize for that boring segment. But those are all your injuries. But the updated prognosis. What's the plural of prognosis?
Prognosi?
Prognosi?
Beats me.
Yeah, who knows? So yeah, there's that.
Speaking of who knows, why would anybody bet on the Carolina Panthers last week?
I don't even remember who they're playing.
The
Are
Atlanta
you?
Falcons,
Are you?
game 1.
Oh, you're attempting to segue here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why would anybody do that? I put some
Sorry,
money on the Falcons last
I
week.
was not understanding the segue.
No, it was very poor. But I put some money on the Falcons last week, and it paid off.
Well, how do I know? I haven't heard the game score.
25-17 Falcons. Falcons had the lead the entire game, except maybe the first quarter. I think they were down 7-3. But other than that, it was an absolute domination because Teddy Bridgewater, fortunately for me, was not very sharp.
It's just hard to bet on a team, though, with one win.
You see, here's something I would take into account.
I mean, regardless of, I know the Panthers only had 3, but I mean, it's not like.
If Teddy Bridgewater is the favorite, chances are I'm betting against him.
Oh.
And so far, it's been easy money. I've won 2 weeks in a row, and I'm looking forward to this week. I'm not sure who. I can't remember who they play, but there might be a bet there.
Well, you're going to figure it out tomorrow because tomorrow is the Week 9 preview show.
Preview show, yeah.
Wow.
Interesting things. Brian Hill got 7 less carries
Brian Hill is terrible.
than Gurley, and he had 9 more yards. His efficiency was double.
But Todd Gurley averaged 2.6 yards a carry.
That man can't run the ball to save his life.
But he can rush for touchdowns every week.
It's infuriating.
18 for 46 and a rushing touchdown for Gurley.
Brian
Incredible
Hill
numbers.
also got both of the catches for the running backs, making the total count go to 13 or from 13 carries to 18 carries. Does this worry you at all if you're a Todd Gurley owner?
I mean, I think you know what you're getting with Todd Gurley. I think he's going to get you in the end zone more weeks than he's not. So I think that's what you're mostly counting on.
I mean, is the workload moving over to Brian Hill worrisome at all? And I know he's still at 18 carries, but
I mean, is it moving towards him? I don't
it's
know.
13 to 18. That's probably what 55-45 split.
11 to 18. Well, if you're going
With 2 catches,
okay,
touches.
so you're touching
Yeah.
touches. I would need to see it happen. If it happened at 2 or 3 weeks straight, yeah. But I don't think anybody drafted. The thing is, you didn't draft Todd Gurley to be a number. I mean, you did, but you didn't expect him to be an elite running back option. So, you're going to play him if you have him. So, but I'd say it is slightly concerning. Yes.
Down week for DJ Moore. That 42-yard catch happened on the last drive of the game. Other than that, he was held to 1 catch for 13 yards. Does that concern you?
I mean, the Panthers' offense is just concerning. I mean, if you look across the board, they had 16 receptions. So, I mean, it's not
good.
Yeah, not very good. Robbie Anderson did lead the way 5 for 8, or 5 receptions on 8 targets for 48 yards. DJ Moore 2 for 55 yards on 6 targets. So
I saw an infographic.
Curtis Samuel keeps scoring so many ridiculous touchdowns. He scores a rushing touchdown every week.
Well, not this week, but yeah.
Or it seems. He scores at least a touchdown.
Not this upcoming week.
A touchdown, but
I saw an infographic.
Oh, no.
Teddy Bridgewater, they're praising him for his perfect passer rating through the first half.
What are you talking about? Curtis Samuel did score a rushing touchdown this week.
This upcoming week, he's hurt.
He scored one against the Falcons.
No, this upcoming week he won't.
Oh, I thought you said that. Yeah,
But-
he had 2 touchdowns this week.
I know. But they were saying he was they were talking about his perfect passer rating with 100 first half yards.
I'm sorry, whose?
I saw this online.
No, who's passer rating?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh.
Perfect one with 100 yards. Then he ended the game with 76 yards in the second half.
15 for 23, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Just not getting it done.
Does anybody honestly think he's good?
Yeah, go on Twitter. People
nobody-
talk that man up so
Nobody
much.
can legitimately think he's good.
Speaking of good, another great performance out of Julio Jones. And Hayden Hurst actually showed up to play this week.
I'm going to say a little of this is Calvin really getting hurt, as we just talked about.
Yeah.
That obviously leaves things a little bit more open for both of them. But I do think Hayden Hurst has kind of found his role similar to Gronk, where whether you think they're that good or not, they're just always going to be getting, you know what I mean? It seems like they're always 5 catches for at least 50, maybe a touchdown kind of thing. Julio, though, that's definitely good news for him. A little bit disappointing for Russell Gage, though, if you threw him in. I know that he's a guy I always like to throw in there as a what the heck, but, you know.
Wasn't good this week.
Mike Davis, though, he still looks okay, 13 for 66, but it looks like your time using him is probably going to be finished with McCaffrey coming back in. So,
and speaking of finished, are we ready to say that the New England Patriots, are we ready to say that their time is finished in this division, at least as of right now?
or are they going to get kicked out of the division?
No, as in being a contender. 2-5, 0-3 away. Cam Newton threw for less than 200 yards.
I want to give them. I want to see what happens.
Still no touchdown
They should have.
passes.
I mean, if we're being honest, the Patriots probably should have won this game, or at least went to overtime, if nothing else.
This was like the most backwards game for the Bills I've ever seen them play this season. Like in the past, all they've been able to do is throw, and they couldn't run the ball to save their lives. In this game, Josh Allen couldn't hit anything, and they were running the ball all over them, which is very weird to me. But yeah, hopefully they can at least continue that trend with the Russians.
I just don't trust the Bills at all.
They keep getting really ugly
They're the
wins.
definition of a team like once the playoff comes, I'm putting tons of money against them.
Either
no
that-
matter where they're ranked.
Either that or they're a team that can get really hot really quick.
I just don't think Josh Allen's good enough.
Again, this game was also, I believe it was winds. It was super windy, so both quarterbacks struggled, I heard. I did not see the entire game, so I don't know, but I was hearing reports that there was a bunch of errant passes just because that would certainly hurts.
I mean, but if you look at the stats, I mean, Josh Allen threw 18 times, Cam Newton threw 25.
Yeah, it was not a
Neither
good
of them
game.
had over 175 yards.
No.
So there was 0 combined passing touchdowns. So that is, I mean, to your point, that's probably
Part of it.
the big deal there. Damian Harris, though, he's been looking incredible. 16 for 102 and a touchdown.
Yeah, he's their best runner.
I think that they're going to keep using him a lot.
they better. He's all they have.
Cam Newton also 9 for 54 and a touchdown on the ground. The costly fumble at the end, but still, he's putting in a lot of work too.
And the nice thing, or the encouraging thing for people who own guys like Stephon Diggs, is that even when Josh Allen can't get anything going, Stephon Diggs still gets his in full PPR. He had 15 points. Which
Yeah, he's very good. Unfortunate if he started anybody else. But
yeah, Cole Beasley had that down game, which I feel like a genius for not playing him because I chose not. I took him out of my lineup at the last second this week, but then I replaced him with AJ Green. So, like the one guy who did worse than him this week. So, I mean,
I've heard a lot of rumblings of Zach Moss being a big waiver guy this week. What are your thoughts?
I rostered him the entire season.
Him and Devin Singletary had 14 carries apiece.
I
by the
rostered him
way.
the entire season to drop him
touchdowns.
about a week ago because I couldn't put together a full roster. And, of course, right when I drop him, they start using him.
Do you trust him?
Yeah, he's good.
14 for 81 and 2 touchdowns.
If they use him, he's good.
Josh Allen also 10 for 23 and a touchdown. That's a lot of combined quarterback runs. 19 rushes by the quarterbacks.
A lot of our Allen's isn't very efficient because most of his are running out of a sack. Whereas, like, for instance, guys like Lamar, they have designed runs. They don't do many design runs for Allen, which does tank his average. But considering those 10, like 5 of those 10 probably easily could have been a sack.
Do you consider any of the Patriots wide receivers to be ownable at this point?
I mean,
I'm even going to put James White in the mix. I don't think James White is ownable.
Edelman's worth owning.
He's on IR.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Maybe he'll be worth a pickup.
Yeah,
would you keep him for if let's just say he's on the 3 or 4 week IR? Would you pick him up?
It depends how injury ravished might. Like right now, I have 7 players.
How about we'll keep it like this?
Playing.
Jacoby Myers, Damiere Byrd, James White. If they were all available and you could have them for free on your team, would you take any of them?
Yeah, I'd probably take Jacoby Myers because I got to throw the ball to somebody.
He had 10 targets, but was 6 for 58.
I mean, that's still fine.
I think he has the most limited ceiling of any. I don't even want to call him a number one wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree.
I think even if he gets 10 targets, he's never going to get 100 yards. I just don't think they don't pass enough. I don't.
It's just Cam's not good at throwing the ball.
So we think Jacoby Myers is probably ownable?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would probably agree with that.
Speaking of things we probably wouldn't agree on.
Oh, no.
Who would have seen the Cincinnati Bengals torching the Tennessee Titans this week?
I feel like I've been pretty good on the record of saying I don't think the Titans are that good.
It's weird.
The Bengals are very scrappy.
Yeah.
They're not a bad team. They're going to not be bad soon. They're still kind of bad, but
There wasn't much to really learn about this game. I mean, we see Derrick Henry is good. We already knew that. Jeremy McNichols he is a decent handcuff because obviously whenever they give him the ball, good things happen. That being said, Derrick Henry has never really gotten hurt, so I mean, you might be wasting your time. However, Corey Davis, another big game.
8 for 128 and a touchdown on 10 targets. A.J. Brown had the second most targets, 4 for 24 and a touchdown. I was reading something on Twitter how they essentially accidentally shadowed, so the Bengals' best corner, who's pretty good, they lined him up against him. That guy wasn't playing man, but they lined him up against that corner for the majority of the game. So, they blocked their own
They
best.
shadowed themselves.
Yeah, it was a really weird stat. I should have brought it with me here. Obviously, I don't. I didn't, but I think there are better days ahead for him. I don't think Corey Davis is obviously better. So
no. Joe Burrow, another good game. He's been incredible.
Joe Burrow,
all things considered,
26 of 37, 249, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Pretty good day for him. Giovanni Bernard has been playing pretty well for filling in. For being a backup.
I mean, if you look at how the success Joe Mixon's found behind that offensive line, he's definitely looking good.
It's the mustache. 15 for 62 and a touchdown on the ground. Through the air, 3 for 16 and a touchdown. So he was putting up some big points the last couple weeks here. So it looks like we were saying Mixon's going to be out another week, so he's going to be another good play. I'd like to see him. Samaje Perine actually got 10 for 32 and a touchdown as well on the ground.
That's far too much work to give to Samaje Perine.
Yeah, that guy's not very good, but obviously I don't think he's much of a threat to Bernard at this point.
Joe Burrow on track for 4,500 yards and 22 touchdowns.
Yeah, not a bad debut at all.
If he can get those touchdowns up, that seems to be his one downfall. Is he doesn't score. This game he did well.
This is going to sound really stupid, but I'm really excited to see some of these bad teams with good players now.
Yeah,
it's
Chargers.
The Chargers had Phillip Rivers for a while, but they could never really get over the hump. So I'm excited about the Chargers. It's going to be weird seeing the Bengals being good. I mean, I know we saw them in the playoffs not that long ago with Dalton, but
they were never good though.
They were always, they never felt like they were going to. The defense was pretty good, but we never felt like they were going to win anything. I just remember the playoff game where Antonio Brown got his head taken off by.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
Was it Rex Burfict or something? So it's going to be fun to see them, and then obviously the Dolphins might be it's beautiful seeing the Dolphins good.
Yeah, what isn't beautiful is seeing the Browns put up 6 points this week.
The Browns are the biggest fraud team of all time.
I can't figure them out.
Yeah, you can. You're thinking too much about it.
Because
they're bad.
Against decent to above average teams, they show up. But when they go against
no, they don't.
Decent to slightly above average. When they play good teams, they don't show up. And when they play, I guess I'd argue that the Raiders are decent to good teams. So I guess
the Raiders only scored 16 points. This was
This was horrible. Game. And if you let Josh Jacobs do this to you this season, you should be hanged because Josh Jacobs has been horrible this year.
He wasn't even that good this game. He just had 31 carries.
He's got the ball a ton, but I mean,
31 for 128, no touchdowns. He got stuffed 3 consecutive times on the goal line.
The leading rusher for the team that won by 10, 5 catches for 28 yards, which is Darren Waller. Your quarterback throws for 112 yards, and you lose by 10 still.
Yeah, Derek Carr, 15 for 24, 112 yards and a touchdown. But on the other side of the ball, Mayfield, 12 for 25, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
How the hell does Kareem Hunt get 14 carries? Feed that man.
They had 22 carries and only 12 receptions. I mean, they just didn't do much with the ball.
Sucks.
I still think Jarvis Landry... Maybe I'd hold him one more week.
11 target. Well, I mean, even in full PPR, that's 9.2.
But I'm saying they only scored 6 points. I would keep holding him if I had him, but
I expected more out of David Njoku, too. 19 yards.
You're getting close to dropping Landry. I don't know.
And I know OBJ is gone, but let's be honest. OBJ hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything all year.
He still opens things
I know
up,
he attracts attention and whatnot.
He was doing a little better, too, when he got hurt. But
well, that's not saying much. But it's
there's just nothing here for anybody.
No.
Hunter Renfrow saved your day, 4 for 26 and a touchdown. But outside of that, and I guess, well, obviously in Josh Jacobs, but there's just nothing here. Well, what do we have? One offensive touchdown scored? Am I seeing this right?
How is this the same team that put up 37 points the week before? It went from they put up 32, the next week 7, the following week 37, the next week 6. Like, what is going on with these guys?
Yeah, it was not a good performance. It was a terrible game. I mean, like I just mentioned, we had one offensive touchdown, so not.
I mean, typically when you play up and you play down to the competition, that usually means that you think you've arrived and that you think you're good, but they don't even play up to the competition. So I don't even know what these guys' deal is.
I think we'll have a better performance out of both teams.
I'd certainly hope
moving forward. Well, no, I think I don't think there's that much to say in terms of fantasy news.
Oh, no.
I just think that it's one of those things that they're both just gonna, am I making any sense?
The Browns have scored 7 points or less 3 times. Which are the 3 games they lost. In their 5 wins, they scored 30 points or more. I don't understand that.
Yeah, there's
scored 49 on the Cowboys and only put up 6 against the Raiders. That inexcusable.
Well, the Cowboys are terrible though.
I mean, yeah, but the Raiders aren't defensive savants by any means. And I guess speaking of defensive savants, how about the Colts? Absolutely,
the Raiders are the good bad team.
The Colts absolutely manhandled the Lions after I put $20 on the Lions, which is great.
Why would you ever bet on the Lions?
There was a good line, but
goodness sake,
it's not easy in Detroit. It seems Indianapolis seems to finally be finding their groove.
Phillip Rivers is actually, after starting off really poor, he's actually kind of leveled out a little bit. He was 23 for 33, 262 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I know, Phillip Rivers, incredible.
It's wild.
Matt Stafford, on the other hand, 24 for 42, 336 to the air, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. So
a really bad pick 6, I might add.
I mean, not if you're just looking at the box score, not a terrible performance by him. The rushing, 13 total carries.
Yeah, you're not going to win anything doing that.
That might be the lowest total I've ever seen.
You're not going to win anything doing that.
For what it's worth, DeAndre Swift had the most with 6, followed by Adrian Peterson with 7.
So he didn't have the most.
DeAndre Swift had the most. What did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Adrian Peterson had 5.
Oh, okay.
He was 5 for 7. DeAndre Swift was 6 for 1.
Oh my goodness.
So 13 carries total from the whole team combined for 29 yards, but between Peterson and Swift, it was 11 for 8. So very tough day on the ground.
Jordan Wilkins outcarries Jonathan Taylor by 9 carries.
I have Jordan Wilkins in all my dynasty leagues.
That's not good as a owner of Jonathan Taylor in the dynasty. I don't like that.
Everybody always sleeps on Wilkins. He's been one of those guys, and I know that I rolled when I was talking about him because I owned him in all my leagues. But he's been a guy that's very talented. He's just always been behind a pretty good player. I mean, when Marlon Mack was Marlon Mack was balling out last year, and it's just hard to really get him in there. And he's not a Hines, so I mean,
Speaking of balling out, another great week for T.J. Hockenson.
Well, just real quickly, Jordan Wilkins. What do you think about him for Fab?
Well, obviously pick him up. They gave him the ball 20 times.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, how much Fab would you be willing to put
I'd spend
down?
everything I have left on him because there are no good running backs.
So let's just say
there are no good running backs.
I have $90 right now. How much of that would you put on Wilkins? We're only through 8 weeks.
I'd say like 60.
At
least.
You'd put that much.
So at least you can get him.
We're for sure that he's going to overtake Jonathan Taylor.
No. But at this point, it's so desperate for running backs. You need somebody, and he's at least somebody.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put that much just to be careful, but would that change if you had $30? Would you put all 30?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering if you were doing okay. If Nyheim Hines is not rostered, is he worth rostering?
Yeah.
He was 5 for 8 on the rushing, 3 for 54 and 2 touchdowns through the air. I don't know if you're rostering that.
I mean, maybe.
Even let's just say, and I know he did, but let's just say he doesn't get those 2 touchdowns.
Oh no, they use him enough in the
3
passing
for
game. Where I think he's
54.
worth a spot in a PPR league.
That being said, best ball player.
That being
obviously.
said, people who aren't worth a spot are Marvin Jones Jr., and him and his 2 touchdowns this week, and I played against him.
3 receptions.
And I lost by single-digit points because Marvin Jones put up 17 points.
Something you just hate to see.
Averages 6 per game, and that hurt my soul. And don't fall for it. One guy I would say that you might want to fall for, maybe look into Marvin Hall. Although he did have a 73 catch, which really helped out his average. He's still at 113 yards. Really good. TJ Hawkinson.
Are you only interested in him because of Galladay? Sorry to interrupt.
It certainly helps. And we don't know what the deal is with Galladay. And, yeah, Galladay's missed, I think, 4 of the 8 weeks thus far. So he's clearly not reliable to play.
Yeah, he's probably not a terrible pickup.
TJ
Hawkinson.
Yeah, 10 targets again. 7 catches, 65 yards. He didn't find the end
Solid
zone.
day for him.
But, yeah, he's been, I think, 9 or more every week. I think it's been. Something along those lines.
He's been very good.
His ceiling isn't incredibly high, but his floor is very high.
Very solid, yes.
Yeah, for especially where you drafted him, or I got him, I think, in the 13th round. He's been paying off. I'd say paying off dividends. I have 3 wins in that league, so clearly it hasn't been paying off anything. But it certainly feels good.
And speaking of whack players getting touchdowns, we have the insert Undertaker gif. Kerryon Johnson,
Oh, my
215
goodness.
and a touchdown on the passing game.
Yeah, that one wasn't easy to stomach.
So I know that nobody likes him, but I still think I think he could have success somewhere else. I don't think he's that bad.
We could agree to disagree on that one.
I'm not saying that just because I have him in a dynasty league and I'm salty. I don't think he's proven he's terrible. Is my
Speaking of proving being terrible, how about that Packers defense?
I was just, and I say this jokingly to anybody who actually has PTSD, but I was getting PTSD of Adrian Peterson. Just my nightmares are just the Packers getting, people putting it's just a purple streak down the field with nobody near them, and it's I don't know what the Packers' deal is with, defense or just being good, but we cannot stop good running backs. It seems to any extent.
226 total yards, 4 touchdowns. You don't like to see that if you're the Packers.
What were his total yards, you said?
226.
My goodness. Like I said, it reminds me of the old Adrian Peterson days when I don't even want to talk about it. But yeah, very tough. Dalvin Cook just out of nowhere, too. I mean, that was huge. 30 carries as well. For a guy that breaks down pretty easy, you'd think that you wouldn't want to do that. But
this isn't trying to get you all riled up. They didn't touch him. I mean, it seemed like every time
his long was only 37 too on the rushing. Yeah, he did have a 50 long on the receiving, but
he was just giving it to him.
2 for 63 and a touchdown on 3 targets. That's just
goodness sakes. He's on track for 1,800 total yards and 25 total touchdowns thus far. And he missed a game.
Not great.
He missed a game too. So
the Packers game ended in the worst possible way. As just a fan of football, that was the worst ending that you could have ever asked for in a game.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Where Rodgers, correct me if I'm wrong. He got hit from behind while throwing, right, and the ball bounced out. Yeah, and I know they didn't have a real chance at winning, but Aaron Rodgers can throw a Hail Mary with the best of them, so that sucked.
Devonta Adams, 53 yards and 3 touchdowns, which it seems like he does that all the time.
Yeah, and 7 receptions on 12 targets. He's very good. I think people often forget how good he is.
My other thing is never his talent. It's just I can never draft him because he's good for maybe 10 to 12 games.
He is hurt quite often.
And I mean, this season, that's everybody, I guess, but typically it doesn't seem to be that way.
Speaking of free agents, though, terrible segue. We weren't speaking of free agents.
That was a great segue.
Robert Tonyan, 5 for 79 on 7 targets. I would say that if he's still a free agent in your league, you need to pick him up.
Absolutely.
Probably at this point, I don't think he'd be that available. In any league that's
probably like 75%.
If you were in a competent league, I don't think he would be available. But I think he's a good play there. Somebody I'd spend a lot of fab on if he was still around. But
speaking of competence,
well, don't jump games yet.
Well,
what are you thinking about the Packers' run game this week? Because it looks like Aaron Jones is out. Jamal Williams, him and A.J. Dillon are both out with COVID. So we essentially have, and I say we because I'm a Packers fan, have like practice squad guys.
I can't remember what his name was. I saw it today.
Are you interested in either of those guys? Maybe I should ask the question differently. How much fab would you be willing to put on these guys?
If I had fab, I'd put some on it. Just because there's so many buys this week, especially on my team, where basically I'm willing to overpay for any running back fab buys. Because at this point, there's nothing. There's literally nothing on free agency unless there's an injury. So if you're week 8 and you still have a bunch, clearly you need to spend it somewhere.
All right, even if it's a 1 week fill, though?
I mean, I wouldn't spend that much on it, but I could spend 8 to 10 on it.
Okay.
And get a guy starting for the week. I mean, it seems to be any player they plug into that Packard system finds success. Because, like, let's be honest, Jonathan Williams isn't that great.
I think you'd be surprised. He's pretty good. I think he's a very competent number 2. But
speaking of
not saying
competence,
much.
How about those Jets putting up 8 solid points?
The Jets, I'll give them credit. They have an extremely good plan to get the number 1 pick.
Yeah, they really doubled down on that, and it's just embarrassing.
I'm going to go to my grave defending Sam Darnold. I'm not saying
yes and no.
I'm not saying he helps himself necessarily, but he's better than he is getting shafted hard by the Jets.
And at least he looks like he gives a damn out there. Like Daniel Jones doesn't look like he cares. This guy looks like he cares.
The Jets have not allowed any player development either. Like they haven't helped the dude out at all.
They're like, hey, we got a young quarterback. Let's give him some weapons. Like, yeah, let's overpay for Le'Veon Bell. Like, okay, like yeah, like that's gonna work. Like when the best weapon you give him is Jamison Crowder in 3 years, what do you expect's gonna happen?
And I totally get again that he, has his own issues, but
their big free agency signing was 50-year-old Frank Gore.
I don't know why they didn't trade him. If you're gonna get Trevor Lawrence, you might as well get something out of him. Like if nothing else, wouldn't you feel bad for him? Just help him out. No, but
I feel bad for him regardless. And like you say, it would make sense. When have the Jets ever done anything that's made sense?
Yeah,
like never.
Not too much.
You let Patrick Mahomes throw for 400 yards on you and 5 touchdowns, and that's while Chad Henne got touches. And this is with you held the running game to 2.5 yards per carry. Well done. And guess what happens? You lose by 26. Like.
So there's absolutely nothing at all to talk about with this game. Sam Darnold didn't throw an interception. I just want to give him that.
Yeah, good for him.
Until Crowder comes back, you're not touching anybody. Maybe Chris Herndon, but probably not.
In my Dynasty League, due to injuries, I've had to start LaMichael Pirine. It hasn't been fun.
No.
But he, like, a couple weeks ago, he got me 12. Like, this week, I guess he only got me, like, 2. But it's full PPR. So it got me about 5. But yeah, other than super desperate situations, I mean, he might be worth it if you're as desperate as I was. But other than that, no, you wouldn't want any of them.
And I would say really nothing of note on the Chiefs side.
No.
Maybe that Le'Veon Bell, he was 6 for 7 on the ground.
Yeah, he woke up feeling dangerous that day.
And in the past game,
big revenge game,
3 for 31 on 3 targets. So I think he's going to work into it. Anybody on that team's good. He'll be especially good in the pass game. So I think he's potentially a buy low, if I'm being honest. I'm not saying I'd give up that much, but I think he's potentially buy low.
Speaking of buy low,
this was literally one of the biggest throwaway games like ever.
Yeah,
like there's no point watching it.
The Los Angeles Rams, 17 points against the Dolphins, falling down 28-10 at halftime, and only managing to get 7 points in the second half. For a 5-3 team, this is very disappointing.
We didn't even really get to see Tua play.
I mean, we did, but
not really. He got smoked on that opening play with the fumble, but, I mean, 12 for 22, 1 touchdown, no interceptions.
93 yards.
It's a good get-your-feet-wet game, I guess, for him. It is worth noting, Myles Gaskin, he was 18 for 47 and a touchdown, but I don't think we read this on the injury report, but he is out for at least 3 weeks.
Ooh, Matt Breida might be a
big
play.
From what I was seeing, Matt Breida is the next in line. My fantasy team rejoices with who has no running backs, but yeah, so that's the one thing of note there. As far as he also had 3 receptions too.
Cooper Kupp, 21 targets.
It is worth noting, just because when we see the box scores here, Isaiah Ford is on the Patriots now. He was traded. Not that that's a big deal for the Dolphins, but
why would you trade for a guy who got 1 catch for 10 yards?
He hasn't been that bad this year, but they just have you seen the? I mean, come on, we were talking about Dominic Byrd, and I mean they have the worst receiving, them and the Jets, but at least the Jets have Crowder.
I know it's the first game, so I'm not going to put too much stock in it, but 93 yards for an entire game is not great. Obviously, it was the first game, but I expected a little more.
They didn't have to. They kind of coasted, though.
Well, I know, but like you still threw the ball 22 times. So I guess I expected a little more just for all the hype that was around him before he entered the game. He still could be very good, but I thought it was just a bit underwhelming.
Cooper Kupp, 21 targets.
Yeah.
That is insane.
That's a lot.
11 for 110, Would have liked to see him get a touchdown. Robert Woods got the touchdown, 7 for 85 and a touchdown on 8 targets, so very effective day for him.
And he had a rushing touchdown again. When are people going to defend that?
Yeah, him and Curtis Samuel. I don't know what's going on there.
Like, let's see him going in motion. Let's just let him run the ball.
Josh Reynolds and Gerald Everett also had 9 targets. They were 4 for 44 and 5 for 32, so nothing crazy out of them.
It seems
there
like
were
Tyler
a lot
Higbee,
of targets going around.
Yeah, it seems like Tyler Higbee is getting phased out of the offense, which as somebody who was high on him before the draft, that hurts. But yeah, 61 attempts, so they had to go somewhere, and Cooper Kupp ended up getting the majority of them.
Yeah, Jared Goff losing 2 fumbles did not help, but it was kind of a rough day for the Rams, but kind of as expected, I think.
Devonta Parker, another bad game that got saved by a touchdown.
Yeah,
Granted, when the quarterback throws for 93 yards, I'm not gonna, or 91 yards or whatever it was, I'm not going to blame him at all.
I mean, there are 22 targets. I'm not too worried about that, but I'm
defense,
concerned about the Rams though.
That defense the Jets have, or the Dolphins have, is not a joke.
The Rams are the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde team.
To be honest, so are the Dolphins. When they show up, they show up.
I think the Dolphins, though, have been pretty competent for quite a while.
Not last year.
But they were winning quite a few. I thought they looked pretty good. They kind of remind me of who is the team this year that's there's a team that has 2 wins. The Chargers. They're teams like the Chargers that are just really, in the Bengals, they're just competitive every week. They just lose. I feel like that was the Dolphins last year.
Yeah, the Dolphins, week 1, they lost by 10 to the Patriots somehow. Then week 2, they lost by 3 to the Bills. Their next loss was Seattle by 8, which isn't bad at all. And they've won the rest of the games. Like, they've lost to good teams. And I guess they blew out the Niners. They blew out the Jets, which, again, all you got to do is show up. And then they blow out the Rams, which so far I've been very impressed by them.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the Rams. I just don't trust Goff at all. I think that's my...
Yeah, when you throw the ball 61 times, you need more than one touchdown.
Goff is just not good. I don't think he's good at all.
I disagree in the sense he's the definition of good. He's good.
He's not
fine.
winning you anything.
Like he's middle of the pack. He's
speaking of
whatever.
Speaking of below average, the Baltimore Ravens fall 24-28 to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'd love to see it.
And by below average, I'm referring to one Lamar Jackson, who
the reigning MVP. That man can't throw a ball to save his life.
I don't understand why people talk this guy up so much. He's not a good passer. And I know that the runs, as much as I'm with everybody, I love watching him run because he's like a faster Michael Vick. Or maybe he's not, but he looks like Michael Vick out there.
At least Michael Vick can throw the ball.
It's kind of crazy if you look at Baltimore's rushing. Dobbins, 15-113. Gus Edwards, 16-87. 487. Lamar Jackson, 16 for 65.
Yeah, that's
tied for the most rushes on the team.
265 yards on 6 yards to carry. That's fantastic.
And
they lose to a team that has 15 carries for 47 yards to the leading back, and the second back has 1 for 1.
But Lamar, though, 13 for 28, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
2 fumbles.
He's like...
Or he fumbled 3 times.
You know how we talked about Goff being somebody we don't trust?
I do not trust
Lamar
him
Jackson, again, is also like I do not trust this guy.
Yeah, no.
It's funny, too, because you keep looking for excuses to trust him, and every big game they've had, he just doesn't show
loses.
Up. It's like, well... But Juju finally back a little bit.
And every time I see him do this, I just think of the not bad for a running back. Not bad for... They always say all last year. They don't throw for 97 yards. I'm like, not bad for a running back. I just want to tweet
Kirk
it at
Cousins,
him.
You like that.
Yeah, you like that.
Juju Smith-Schuster, 7 for 67, 8 on 8 targets. He led the team with yards. Chase Claypool, 5 for 42 and a touchdown on 9 targets. And then we had Deontay Johnson, only 1 reception for 6 yards on 3 targets. I believe he left the game with an injury as well. My fantasy team was not loving it. James Conner still had 3 receptions for 13 yards, so still gave you a couple points there. Eric Ebron, 4 for 48 and a touchdown on 5 targets. As much as everybody likes to hate on Eric Ebron, he has been putting up pretty decent numbers for a tight end, so not a bad play moving forward, I'd say, with him.
Yeah, I'm looking up right now. Lamar Jackson is ranked number 27 in passing accuracy by playerprofile.com, and he also ranks number 3 in danger plays, while only number 26 in completed air yards. It's not good. Yeah,
the Baltimore receiving, Willie Snead, 5 for 106 on 7 targets, so nothing great there. Hollywood Brown, 1 for 3 on 2 targets. He had a touchdown. It's kind of funny because he had the back-to-back touchdowns. He had the one that got wiped off because they said he stepped out. Then he had the touchdown the next play. And
3 catches and 1 angry tweet.
Yeah, his tweet after the game, he was not happy about not getting work. So I own him in a league, and I am hoping that means he'll get the ball more. But this almost seems like one of those situations that if Lamar doesn't step it up, he's going to have a lot of people very unhappy with him.
I'm looking at the efficiency stats, too. True completion, number 30. We have play action completion, 22. Deep ball completion, 24. Pressure completion, 30. Clean pocket, 25. And catchable pass rate, 34. There aren't even 34 starting quarterbacks.
He's just not very impressive to me. Lamar Jackson also had 3 fumbles and lost 2 of them yesterday.
Yeah, you're not going to win the game if you turn the ball over 4 times to the
So
Steelers.
also not great. But the Ravens are a team I just have a very hard time trusting them.
It's because the entire offense runs through him. And if the entire offense runs through one guy who I don't trust, I can't trust him.
Stupid
Their defense
question.
is fantastic. Their running game's fantastic. He's a fantastic runner.
If you had money on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl this year,
I'd be pissed.
Would you rather have Lamar starting or Jameis Winston starting?
Oh, well, Lamar.
Okay. I was seeing how much you didn't like him.
We have one guy you don't trust. Let's put the least trustworthy man, or replace with the least trustworthy man. Now, this offense is tailored for him, and as a runner, he's super good, and as a passer, he's okay. Like, he can be great.
I was just seeing where we're at.
He's just inconsistent, and the fact that also shows how good the Ravens are. He turns the ball over 4 times, and they lose by 4 points. They played very well, all things considered.
Speaking of inconsistent, we move on to the Chargers-Broncos game. Chargers lose this one 31-30 after giving up 21 fourth quarter points.
Yeah, that's not good.
To the Broncos. Just like to get it out of the way, I do want to apologize to all the listeners out there who heard me talking at the beginning of the season about liking Locke. What
do you mean? He had his best game of the season.
I was talking about potentially buying rookie cards and such.
Great game this week.
I am not a Locke believer any longer. I just want to put that out there. If great game means 26 for 41, 248, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, then I don't know.
I agree in the sense where I don't think he's going to be the next big thing, which that's not a hot take. But at the same time, I think if Sutton comes back and he gets more time to develop, I think he could be a more than serviceable quarterback, like not a disaster waiting to happen. But yeah, this season has seemed almost like a step back, unfortunately.
I did want to show something funny, though, that Deshaun Hamilton, I've rostered him for 3 years in a Dynasty League, and I finally dropped him last week.
And then it goes for 82
and
yards.
He had 4 for 82 and a touchdown after – I don't even know if the dude had 10 points all year.
That was literally me with Zach Moss. I rostered him the whole season, dropped him last week, and he has 20. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Well, this is Dynasty, so it's
again, I only dropped him because I couldn't roster a team with all my injuries. But yeah,
I say that as somebody, I'm not even necessarily mad about it. I just think it's funny.
Y'all serious right now.
Melvin Gordon almost led the team in receptions. He was 6 for 21 on 7 targets.
He didn't do anything with it.
The leader, Noah Fant, 7 for 47 on 9. Jerry Jeudy, finally 10 targets, 4 for 73. So
when they throw the ball to him, relatively decent things happen. I wish they'd use him more.
KJ Hamler and Albert, I'm not even going to try to say the last name, had the other 2 touchdowns. So kind of a weird receiver day.
Another great game by Herbert. And I know he had those 2 picks, and honestly, I couldn't care less. He at least, I like him because if you're going to turn the ball over, at least air the ball out. And this guy airs the ball out. So, again, it's like
Is he a young Brett Favre?
He's looking like it. It's like he's like a young Josh Allen. But it's like if I was expecting protest on that one, but apparently not.
I mean, he's
like if
Justin Herbert's way more accurate.
If Drew Brees throws a pick, I'm going to be mad because he throws the ball 2 yards. So, well, first off,
so why are you upset at Taysom Hill picks?
Because he shouldn't be throwing the ball.
He's throwing bombs.
He shouldn't be throwing the ball, dude. No. And, yeah, at least if you're going to throw 2 picks and you're airing it out and put up 30, so what? So what? I don't care. The Chargers are finally, I know they lost, but it was a good-looking game, and I think I know why.
Because
Joshua Kelly only got 7 carries, which is 7 too many. Justin Jackson was getting the ball and was absolutely killing it, and he was killing it in the receiving game too.
It's not good if Tremaine Pope is taking over you.
Joshua Kelly, receiving stats, 1 catch for -7 yards. Just don't catch the ball at that point.
Not great.
Just hit it down.
I was very excited to see that Mike Williams looks like he can be an every week play. 5 for 99 in the touchdown on 8 targets.
Yeah, the way Herbert throws
He's very good, and it's about time he actually gets some shine.
I don't know if I'd say very good, but for a second option, he's a very good second option.
Justin Jackson also getting involved, 3 for 53 in the passing game. Keenan Allen, 9 for 67 and a touch on 11 targets.
Chargers,
Team high.
keep giving Justin Jackson the ball. You're going to start winning.
Maybe
saying.
play a little better defense in the fourth. But
Speaking of playing better defense, how about those Bears giving up 26 to Drew Brees this week? It's not good.
I cannot stand the Bears because they are terrible.
Yeah.
They're awful. They're horrible to watch.
Yeah.
Nick Foles, 28 for 41, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
That was, to be honest, that's not that bad.
He looked terrible.
That's a fine
Did you
game.
watch the game? He looked awful.
Well, at least his receivers were catching the ball.
David Montgomery, 21 for 89.
His best game of the season, might I add.
I want to call him. There needs to be molasses is going to be his nickname, right? There needs to be some kind of. He looks like stuck in quicksand.
We should just call him nothing from now on because he is good at nothing.
Stuck in quicksand out there. Former Iowa State great.
And am I the only one so sick and tired of Drew Brees
Being
throwing the
awful?
ball behind the line of scrimmage to Kamara and having Kamara get all the yards for him? Drew Brees, his average depth of completion is third last in the league, and nobody seems to be hating on him for it. I mean, you shouldn't go out hating on him, but I mean, it's so just ugh.
Yeah, he does not look very good. Kamara looks good, though. Even in the rushing, he only had 12 carries, but 12 for 67. Taysom Hill even got 5 for 35 on the ground.
And he had 30 yards and a catch, too, which in my dynasty, when I needed a quarterback, I refused to play him, and then he goes out and gets like 10 points.
There is nothing more obnoxious than when I'm so confused. Whenever he lines up as the quarterback spot on like 3rd and 5.
I wonder if he's going to pass it. He's not going to pass it. How
It's
are you
always
falling for this?
3rd and 4th to 3rd and 6th, and he always runs. And I don't know who is expecting him not to run.
And he's slow, and he doesn't cut. And
He's
still
not.
somehow
He's
gets
not that slow, but
he
he's
somehow gets it. He runs in a straight line.
It's like
and gets the first
every
down.
time I
Like,
see it, he's like, oh well, he's running to the long side of the field.
You're like, and somehow, like, without doing any moves, he gets the first down every time. I'm like, guys, how are we falling for this? It's literally like the offense false starting. It's like, you know what's happening here. How are you falling for this? And it's the same thing with him. Like, we know he's not going to throw the ball.
Yeah, definitely not great. Yeah, Kamara also, like Brandon mentioned, beast in the receptions. 9 for 96 on 13 targets, led the team. Jared Cook had a nice game, 5 for 51 and a touch. Traquan, we wish he would have done a little more, 5 for 43 on 7 targets. But
What are you going to do?
yeah, is Michael Thomas ever going to come back?
I don't know. There's no way he's hurt.
I don't know.
Because he like was cleared to play like 3 weeks ago. So unless he re-aggravated something else.
Well, I think he might have, but I don't know what his status is. On the Bears side of the ball, besides Allen Robinson, do you want to own anybody?
Maybe Anthony Miller, but other than that, no.
8 for 73 on 11 targets. Do you care at all about Darnell Mooney?
Not
5
really.
for 69 and a touch on 6 targets.
There's so many good receivers in this league where he's one of those guys where I don't think he's very necessary. Even I don't think Anthony Miller's all that necessary, but he's at least consistently getting work.
Jimmy Graham let us down 2 for 13 on 7 targets, which is really weird. But
Do you know he used to play football?
apparently, no basketball. Allen Robinson 6 for 87 and a touchdown on 7 targets. Anthony Miller oddly leads the way with 11 there, like we mentioned. So kind of a weird day. I think the Bears are terrible. Will we see Mitch Trubisky soon?
I certainly hope not.
I don't think Nick Foles looks very good.
He doesn't, but he looks better than him. And at least with him, at least Nick Foles, again, he'll at least go for it. He at least throws the ball further than 5 yards. Like, yeah, I'd rather have an incomplete 40-yard pass than an incomplete 5-yard pass. Like, he at least, there's potential. There's potential with what he does. Speaking of potential,
Oh, yeah.
Russell Wilson, another 4-touchdown game.
27 to 37, 4 touchdowns. Nick Mullins, incredible game himself, 18 for 25 and 2 touchdowns. I said that sarcastically, but that's not actually.
That's not bad at all.
It's not a terrible box.
DK Metcalf.
It's not a terrible box score.
No, DK Metcalf.
It is notable though that Jimmy Garoppolo is getting shut down for, I believe, was it 6 weeks with that ankle? I believe he's gone for a while. It'd be interesting to see if they decide to pay him next year. I'm just throwing it out there. I would definitely not if I were them. But I actually get annoyed by teams like this where like the Rams. Like I just want Jared Goff to go away so that they can be good.
The problem is though, there's nobody better to switch him with unless you make a big trade.
I think Garoppolo is literally like the most replaceable person of all time.
Yeah, he is, yeah. But
like literally, I feel like anybody could.
Best coach in the NFL right there.
I don't know. I literally feel like anybody could do that. But let's.
at least Jet had a decent game to this game. 40,
Are you
40 yards.
rushing to add JaMychal Hasty?
No.
12 for 29 and a touchdown.
No, because we've seen every single running back in that system get plugged in and do well. 12 for 29 is no good. And if you can't find success in the Niners, you're not good. Jet found success.
Not today. 3 for -1, but in a touchdown.
But he had those 4 carries for 40 yards, or catches for 40 yards. DK Metcalf looking very nice.
12 for 161, 2 touchdowns.
I might be going out on a limb here. I might be going out on a limb. DK Metcalf, he's pretty good at football.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's
Tyler Lockett disappointed. 4 for 33 on 5 targets.
He's either looks like
It's
the best
obnoxious.
receiver in the league or just a pedestrian.
It's obnoxious how he
depends
pinballs.
Yeah.
He had the 37-point game a couple weeks ago. He had the 50-point game last week. And he just keeps hovering around 4 to 6 or 20 plus. It seems. So he's really obnoxious.
4 to 6 or 50 plus.
I would monitor the status of the running backs for Seattle this week. DJ Dallas is kind of a last.
Everyone's really excited about DJ, but even this was one opportunity, and he hasn't really didn't do much.
It's the first time getting any real work.
Well, I agree.
Niners defense is usually okay too.
It's just like everyone's like, he's a must add, and it's like 18 for 41. It's like, is he though? I know the 18 carries is very enticing. Don't get me wrong, but
the receivers on the Niners though not looking too bad. Brandon Ayuk 8 for 91 and a touchdown, 11 targets. Kendrick Bourne 8 for 81 on 10 targets. Kendrick Bourne was weird. I think I got him in a couple dynasty leagues.
Yeah, those 8 receptions
just randomly
each are really nice.
Yeah, so definitely turning into okay plays there. I believe, like we mentioned, Deebo Samuel was relatively close to coming back.
Yeah. I'm not too concerned with Deebo Samuel anymore.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Who was it? The Niners just let Dante Pettis. They just let Dante Pettis was just let go or waived. Which was kind of a surprise move. He's going to hit waivers. Fingers crossed he makes it to the Packers. But speaking of the Packers, did you see that they were They were trying to talk to the Texans all day about getting.
Yeah, and then the Texans are like, you don't value Will Fuller enough. I'm like, bro, Will Fuller's played 10 career games. What are you talking about?
It was kind of funny to watch the fans, and I was just like, I don't want Will Fuller on the team.
Not only that, the fans act like Will Fuller is the second coming of Jerry Rice. Let's not get it twisted. He's having a nice little season this year.
He always does, but he's always hurt.
Yeah, he's having a nice little season this year, and that's it. That's it. That's all we got.
Now, don't get it twisted. I want the Packers to trade for a receiver, but I mean, it's like...
But Will Fuller, I don't know if he's it.
Antonio Brown was available.
For free.
Why are we...
For literally free.
I mean, there's also an argument that if I don't know what the contract situation was with him, if he was on a 1 or 2 year, then maybe whatever. But I mean, he's not stopping the run. So
speaking of being unable to stop the run, how about those Cowboys losing 23-9, giving up 119 yards to a combination of Boston Scott, Corey Clement, Carson Wentz, Jalen Reagor, and Greg Ward.
I would just like to say to ESPN, get these or all the primetime game people.
The NFL. Get these guys off
Get
of
the damn
prime time.
NFC East or whatever.
Please.
Get the NFC East out of prime time.
I know
Nobody
you're-
wants to see this.
I know they're the most popular team. I don't care. Nobody wants to see this.
I don't want to see Ben DiNucci throwing for 180 yards and no touchdowns.
I don't want to see them scoring 9 first half points and scoring 0 in the second half and giving up 16 in the second half to blow it. Not only that, I'm over here hating on the Cowboys as if the Eagles are any better. I mean, goodness sakes. Carson Wentz, 123 yards and 2 picks. I know he had those 2 touchdowns, but still.
Could he hold the ball any longer?
I mean,
I was so triggered on the 2-point conversion. They just ran Jalen Hurts to the pylon and got smoked.
Yeah,
what in the world?
And Jalen Hurts, why is this man in the game? Every time they put him in there, there's nothing happens. One completion for 9 yards.
Yeah,
I guess one completion for 9 yards would probably make him the best quarterback on the roster. But
you
still.
would make an argument that it makes sense on the Saints why they maybe would use Taysom Hill, but it's like I
You
just
get cute with it when you're decent.
the Carson Wentz is athletic though, so it doesn't really make
and
sense.
not only that, the Eagles suck. So if you suck, don't try to get
Can you
cute
please
with it.
refer to them as the division-leading Eagles?
By default.
Is there anybody on
Travis Fulgham? I like him a lot. 6 catches, 78 yards, and 1 touchdown.
I think Reagor is an ad if he's available. Boston Scott's going to be good enough as long as Sanders is
I'm
out.
so sick and tired of these bad running backs scoring 1 billion points.
I think
'cause of
Dallas
backups.
Goedert is a good
Yeah.
add too. I don't think he'll be available.
Michael Gallup kind of showed up for the first time in a minute. Speaking of showing up, how about Amari Cooper?
And on
He's
motion.
certainly good.
It's
Went
kind of
smack.
strange
He
because
is
Gallup
looking to the
has
far
showed up
corner, and it is caught.
anytime it's not been
Fulgham,
press gaps this
Or
year.
every time I play
Travis
against him.
Fulgham did it
But
again.
I hate to say it, I think he's the best play when either Danucci or Dalton are starting. But maybe I need to go back and look at Dalton.
Speaking of best plays,
Dalton Schultz is
what?
playing well.
Travis
What
Fulgham this time just
needs
gives
to
him
be
a
done
lesson on the
if
fade
you were an
route.
owner of Ezekiel Elliott? Like, what do you do?
Well, the problem is
Like, on a high-scoring offense, he didn't look great. And now he's on an offense that can't score points.
the offensive line is so
nothing's
bad.
changed. He's also just slow.
Yeah, I don't know. You like the volume. I mean, you're going to keep rolling him out there, but I don't think the Cowboys are ever going to score. So,
Like, do you trade him? Because you probably won't get anything for him.
I would actually, if we're talking about redraft, I would probably try to fish him out there. I'd probably throw him out there and see what I could get.
I doubt it'd be much.
I think you'd be surprised. There are a lot of people that are.
The only people who trade from are people trading for his name.
Well, yeah, but there are a lot of people that when they think Zeke, it's just like automatically, oh, really good elite running back. And I think that there are people that you could definitely, I don't want to say swindle because Zeke's not terrible, but I think there are people that you could probably. What would you trade him for in terms of receiver? Let's do like a receiver thing.
Oh, I trade a lot for him from receiver because I have a billion of them. And
So,
there's
like-
so many of them. Would you trade
I'm trying to think what like
Kareem
the
Hunt
cutoff.
for him straight up?
If I had him,
If you had Kareem Hunt, would you trade for him? Trade for Zeke? Because
I
Into
wouldn't.
account,
Do I have Zeke or Kareem?
you have Kareem.
I'd probably trade him. I'd probably trade for. Oh wait, no. I have Kareem.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably keep Kareem.
Because right now, I was thinking about this today. I'm in a win now, and Kareem has his bye week this week, and all my players are out. If I could trade Kareem for Zeke,
You say you're in win now, like
Yeah.
this isn't redraft.
I could. Well, yeah, but I could skip the bye week, but at the same time have a running back available now. And when Chubb comes back, his workload is going to go down.
Yeah, but he's very heavily involved in the pass.
I agree. I'm not saying I do it
And
either.
rush
I was
game.
just thinking about it. And I wanted to know your opinion.
Yeah, I'd probably keep him, but I'm trying to think in terms of like wide receivers where the cutoff would be.
I'd sure as hell
But-
trade Kenny Galladay for him if I had Kenny.
Well, yeah, because Kenny's hurt.
Oh, yeah, and because he's just been annoying me. Speaking
We didn't come up with any receivers.
of annoying, I don't. How about Rob Gronkowski on the Tampa Bay Bucks?
I think this is actually closer to where he's just going to be, if we're just being honest. I mean, what do you have? He was 4 for 41 in a touchdown.
No, I couldn't think of anything else. So I just said
Oh.
Gronkowski. There was
I
no net
think
behind that
that's-
madness.
I think he's good for between 4 to 7, 4 to 6 catches, 40 to 70 yards, and maybe a touchdown. Probably more so 60 yards. You know what I mean? I think he's going to be a safe 8 to 10 points a week, 8 to 12.
Is Mike Evans back?
He only had 7 targets.
Yeah,
I mean, Jaden Mickens had more targets.
No, I don't think he is. Either
5 for 55
I
and a
think
touch.
there's something wrong with him health wise.
I don't know. Brady just doesn't use him very much. I mean, if you remember him last year and in the years past, it's just been bombs
Granted, yeah, they've
all
been
day to him.
slinging it to him.
Where he would be getting like 12 targets every week or more, it seemed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust many people in the pass game. I trust Gronk in terms of getting me 6 to 12 points.
I certainly don't trust Chris Godwin because he can't even get
Well,
on the
if he was
field
healthy.
anymore.
Is Ronald Jones no longer the one for sure?
19. Jones.
I would be
7 for
very
23, 4 receptions for 23 yards. But Leonard Fournette had 3 for 19 receptions, 15 for 52. on the ground.
I would be very concerned if I were Ronald Jones. Just because Fournette obviously got more carries and he was slightly more efficient. But at the same time, with the receiving game, Fournette was right behind him and he was technically more efficient. So with that kind of stuff, that would have me very worried.
That's just a bummer, though, if like your team was really good at the beginning because of Jones.
No, it's not because Ronald Jones
I know
never
you
should have
they
been
don't
there.
have much equity in him, but
And when you drafted Ronald Jones, you knew that Leonard Fournette was there.
so is Fournette the one going forward?
I still think it's going to be like around the 50-50, 60-40 range. So
Who would you rather own?
both of them are going to be hard to start.
They're both on the waiver wire. You can have one. Who are you taking?
Brady throwing for Evans in his neighborhood. Got it.
Probably still Ronald Jones.
Ooh.
Barely, but
I think I'm Fournette right now, but I'm not entirely sure. That could
I
be
don't
a
like
game.
either one of them. Speaking of not liking either one of them, how about Wayne Gallman? I do not like him at all. Primarily because he's the reason I lost last week. But he literally just like 12 for 44. Like, that's not great.
With the touchdown.
Yeah, the touchdown saved him.
Alfred Morris back in action, 8 for 28.
I was actually very happy to see him.
How old is he? I couldn't believe he was on the field.
I saw Alfred Morris. I'm like, I forgot about that.
He is 31. When was the last time he played?
It was in Dallas, I think. Let me pull it up. It's been a minute.
Today was the first padded practice, and Darius Jackson
I
got
saw on Twitter that he got signed.
I liked him with his home run celebration. The way he drives.
Today was the first padded practice, and Darius Jackson got some of the work for the first team.
He was on the Cardinals last year?
He had
Tony Pollard, their fourth-round pick.
Last year.
But you look at Darius Jackson, he's the only tailback currently on this roster with a carry in a regular season game, 6 carries for 16 yards. But tomorrow, by tomorrow, Alfred Morris will be here. Played for the Cowboys 2016, 2017. Filled in for Elliott while he was suspended for those 6 games. The guy with a lot of experience, 3 1,000-yard seasons while with the Washington Redskins. So the Cowboys, hey, they're kind of setting themselves up. If Zeke's going to hold out, we're going to protect ourselves with a veteran. And Morris has experience. He knows the system. He's in shape. And now the Cowboys, hey, Zeke, now it's you enjoy Cabo. We're going to be up here working.
How do you let that happen?
Week 16? I don't know why the hell we're talking about Alfred Morris.
He had that one really good season.
No, he used to be good.
Yeah, no, two good seasons.
On the Washington football team, which would have been whatever.
Yeah.
That's weird. I didn't realize he was even in the NFL last year.
I love seeing him back in the league. I don't know why.
As far as Giants players that you're confident in,
Sterling Shepard, maybe. That's about it.
Not even Darius Slayton, 5 for 56 on 9 targets.
He has a decent floor, but he's just like meh. Like Evan, you need somebody in the flex, maybe.
Evan Ingram, 5 for 61 on 10 targets. He looked a little better last night. He caught a pretty tough. He had a pretty tough pass in the end zone, or not in the end zone, but he had a pretty tough pass over his head that he got.
Probably had a couple nice drops.
Golden Tate, 2 for 31 in the touchdown on 3 targets. I don't think anybody's playing him. So, anything else to say about this game?
There wasn't much to say, to be honest. It
was somehow a pretty good game.
The Giants honestly fought a lot harder than I thought they would, and for that I give a thumbs up. But
Daniel Jones,
at the end of the day, they're still the Giants.
Daniel Jones looked bad.
Yeah,
I watched almost the whole game.
Daniel Jones looked like Daniel Jones.
This game should have gone into overtime. He had Deion Lewis wide open in the end zone, and then he threw it behind him.
Yeah,
and it was like a second late. If he would have just thrown it to the pylon a second earlier, it was like a free touchdown all day, and he just missed.
Not only that, this is another game. He has 8 games in a row with having either the same amount of turnovers as touchdowns or more. He still has never once exceeded touchdowns to turnovers, and you can't win with that.
It's not a good plus minus.
You can't. Yeah, there's a reason why they're 1-7. I mean, I know Saquon went down. I know they don't have the greatest receivers, but if you're just turning the ball over like that, you're just not going to win.
Yeah, it's just kind of an unfortunate situation that they have going there.
2 more turnovers than Tom Brady, and they lose by 2 points. That's on you.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to mention?
I don't think.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting week. There were kind of a lot of blowouts though, so I don't know.
One thing that is interesting to note is that Daniel Jones is ranked 72nd in touchdowns this season.
I'm interested to see how long his leash is. I feel he's one of those guys that people talk up a lot more than is worth it.
Yeah. No, that's why at the beginning of the season I'm like, why is everybody talking about how Daniel Jones is the next coming, but Gardner Minshew sucks?
Well, because
don't get me wrong, Gardner Minshew is not the second coming either.
Well, even Sam Darnold.
I still think Gardner's twice as good as this guy. Sam Darnold is much better.
Do we think Daniel Jones is better than Sam Darnold?
Everyone.
It'd be interesting to flip the teams. If Darnold was on.
To me, he was on the Dwayne Haskins level. Except Dwayne Haskins had a better.
Dwayne Haskins.
Haskins at least had a better backup, which is why he got benched.
Dwayne Haskins is bad.
No, I'm not disputing that. But yeah, this season,
I'm interested to see how much he goes.
This season, he has 10 turnovers to 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook had 4 last week.
Yeah, I honestly think I'm kind of out on Daniel Jones, almost for a long-term out.
Like even rookie season,
Geno Smith,
3,000 yards, not great, but he only played 13 games, 24 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. That's fine. This year, we're halfway through the season. At least he is, because he has 8 games. 7 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
And not to mention the fumbles.
No, I agree. But let's say he were to hypothetically keep this up at the same times it by 2. He'll end with 14 touchdowns this year and 18 turnovers. And last year, playing 13 games, he had 24. That's 10 more. He
that's
has
not
gone
great.
Straight downhill.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I think his leash is probably about up. I think they've been putting up with him for quite a while, so it'll be interesting to see how long they keep that up.
One win. If they could find a way to get the Jets to win a game, either when they play them, just punt the ball every time they touch the ball, then maybe they can get Lawrence.
They need to trade for I ruined my joke. Adam Gase. There it is. They need to trade for Adam.
Yeah, trade for Adam Gase.
The hottest commodity.
Guaranteed. Yeah, he's a great commodity if you're out here looking for. He was the 6th pick last year. Wow.
You don't remember that?
No, I thought he was at the end of the first round. Wow, I completely forgot about that.
There were some very funny reaction videos.
That's not good.
There were some funny reaction videos to that, but
there always is.
That's probably enough Daniel Jones talk for now.
It's far too much.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for today's episode of the Week 8 recap. We'll be back at you hopefully tomorrow. We said this last week and it didn't happen, but we're hoping for tomorrow.
It's been a busy past few weeks.
It has. And the election has just I'm so frazzled I can hardly speak.
Just remember, everybody, to stay hydrated and keep eating, because we saw people actually telling people to do that because it's that big of a deal. Apparently.
Imagine being never mind. This is
being an adult.
This is not a political podcast.
And having to be reminded to eat and drink during the final or the election. The finals.
Yeah, we're joking, by the way. Anyway,
I mean, you should eat and
drink.
Well,
we weren't joking about that. But
yeah.
We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll be back at you tomorrow.
Where could the good people find us,
I'm just telling us we're going to come back in. We're going to podcast tomorrow, dang it.
Where could the good people find us, Austin?
And we're going to have an episode about the preview for Week 9. The good people can find us on YouTube.
Where at?
Self-podcast.
Thank you.
We have a website, but it's in the links. It's not been updated in a minute because time is a commodity, which we just don't have that much of.
But if you give us that maybe we'll get some monetization and get more time.
No, yeah. But
leave a like.
Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Love you.